Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm sharing with you the top 10 books I want for Christmas. So every year, I think one of the things us bookworms do is figure out the books that are like the top of our Christmas wish list. At least if you celebrate Christmas. I know not everybody does, but like we do in my family, so this is definitely something that I do. The thing is, the older that I've gotten, the less I actually get books for Christmas, but I still like to like peruse and be like, if somebody was getting me something, what do I want? So these are the top 10 books that I really would like for Christmas that I probably won't get, but you know, like we're making the video anyway. The first one is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So this is one that I heard about back when it still was indie published at the beginning of this year. It has now been picked up and is a traditionally published book, but I'm just super intrigued because it is supposed to be like a sort of soft fantasy about, I believe, an orc who has like decided to retire from fighting and all this kind of stuff and open a coffee shop. And it just sounds really, really adorable. It is supposed to be sapphic, I believe. I love the original cover, which I know some other places have like special editions, but I just really love the art style of the original, which I think they kept for the traditionally published US cover. But yeah, I've heard many, many good things about this book and it just looks really, really adorable. The next one I have on here is Station Eternity by Mur Lafferty. This is something I wasn't even really aware of until a little while ago when I actually ended up buying this one for Lena from Sufficiently Advanced Lena for her birthday. I saw it on her wish list and was like, you know what, I'm gonna send this over. I don't think she has read it yet, but I was super, super intrigued because it is going to be a sci-fi, but it is also going to be a mystery. I'm just gonna read part of the summary because I think this really, really is a good way to do it. I don't know if I could do it any better. So, from idyllic small towns to claustrophobic urban landscapes, Mallory Viridian is constantly embroiled in murder cases that only she has the insight to solve. But outside of a classic mystery novel, being surrounded by death doesn't make you a charming amateur detective, it makes you a suspect and a social pariah. So when Mallory gets the opportunity to take refuge on a sentient space station, she thinks she has the solution. Surely the murders will stop if her only company is alien beings. At first, her new existence is peacefully quiet and markedly devoid of homicide. But when the station agrees to allow additional human guests, Mallory knows the break from her peculiar reality is over. After the first Earth shuttle arrives and aliens and humans alike begin to die, the station is thrown into peril. Stuck smack dab in the middle of extraterrestrial whodunit and wondering how in the world this keeps happening to her anyway, Mallory has to solve the crime and fast, or the list of victims could grow to include everyone on board. I mean, like, that synopsis definitely got me. I need to read it. The next one that I would like is Perfect World by Rie Aruga. So the thing about this one is it is a manga series, so it's not just that like I want the whole manga series. I mean, I would 100%, but I have read the first 3 volumes so far, so I guess ultimately I would like maybe like volume 4, volume 5, you know, something in that vein, because I have absolutely been loving my time reading it so far. It is a romance series where our male main character is paralyzed, and so far I've really loved the look of him and also the girl that is our main character, with like coming to terms with like she's gonna have to have some caretaking roles and this kind of stuff, and like how does that actually work. It feels very real to me. I know something that I've talked about when I first read, I think the first 3 volumes, is this is written from a caretaker's point of view, as in our author was writing it based on her experiences taking care of her mother, so it's obviously not going to be necessarily from the paralyzed person's point of view. But so far from what I've read, I've really enjoyed it. Haven't found anything that's too like problematic about it, and I'm just really, really curious to see where this story is going to continue to go, because I know that there are definitely more volumes in the series, and it is a romance series. Like, I need more. The next book actually is another manga. It's going to be Black Paradox by Junji Ito. This is his most recently published work in English, and I've read everything that he has ever done, and basically enjoyed everything that he's ever done that wasn't a translation of somebody else's work or an adaptation of somebody else's work. And it does say that this is going to be a sci-fi thriller. I've actually had somebody on one of my other videos say that Black Paradox is their absolute favorite Junji Ito. Like, I'm so curious about this one. 4 people intent on killing themselves meet through the suicide website Black paradox. So obviously, content and trigger warnings for that. Maruso, a nurse who despairs about the future. Taburo, a man who is tormented by his doppelganger. Pitan, an engineer with his own robot clone. And Barachi, a girl who agonizes about the birthmark on her face. So definite different vibes per character. Like, I'm so curious about this one. And it is an original work by him, so I'm like, I need to read it. I'm gonna say that for basically everything on this list. The next book I have on this list is the Pallbearers Club by Paul Tremblay. I have heard good things about this one. I actually don't know too much about it, except for there was somebody that mentioned that it feels very much like S. We're gonna have an aside really quick. This is S. It is by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst, and it is a book where, like, you have the story of what the book is, but you actually have people writing in the margins and stuff like that, and like that's also its own story, and I actually like that story better. But so I heard that it's similar to that in the fact that I guess there's one story being told, but then there's another character that sort of has asides, and I am just so intrigued. Like I said, I don't actually know what this one's really about, except for it has that, and I've been wanting to read Paul Tremblay stuff. I actually haven't at all, even though I do own The Cabin at the End of the World, and I think I want to read that before the movie comes out. But yeah, I'm so intrigued by this one. The next one I have on this list is The Cost of Knowing by Brittany Morris. I read Slay by Brittany Morris actually at the very beginning of 2021. I'm pretty sure it was. Absolutely loved it. Like, it was so good, and so this one has been on my radar for a while now, and I just haven't picked it up and read it. This one seems like it is going to have a little bit of like a paranormal fantasy twist to it, whereas Slay was purely like a contemporary story with some like video game elements. But basically this is going to be about a boy who can see like his brother's death and what the aftermath of that like premonition is going to be. I don't know anything else about it. People that have read Brittany Morris's stuff absolutely love this story. Like, I have friends that have read both this and Slay, and like they love this book. It does also feel like it's going to be sort of hard-hitting, but like I'm so curious about it because I loved Slay so much, but I love this sort of like small hints of paranormal fantasy elements. Like, that is right up my alley. Another book that I desperately want is The Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. This is a book that was on my like most anticipated releases at some point this year, because I do like 4 of them per year, and it's basically a romance story, but I believe our main character is asexual, and I'm so curious about that one. But it does say Joy is in love with Malcolm, but Malcolm really likes Summer. Summer is in love with Love, and Fox is Summer's ex-boyfriend, and it's gonna be this whole tangle of romantic lives, it feels like. But I am so curious about the representation in here, and I love the whole like, oh, let's pretend to fake date to make people jealous, and then they end up falling in love anyway, because I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's happening. Joy is going to fake date Fox, I believe, to make Malcolm jealous, and I'm sure that's not what the end of the story is going to be. And so yeah, I want this one. The next one I want is the Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas. This is the newest book by this author. I absolutely loved Cemetery Boys when that came out in 2020, I'm pretty sure. Like, one of my favorite books of the year, if not my favorite book of the year. It might have been like my favorite. I did not like the second book that was the Peter Pan retelling as much. Can't even fully remember. Oh, in Lost in the Neverwoods. I think mostly because it wasn't as new to me as some of the other stuff. But this one sounds so good. It's gonna have a like competition, like a trial thing here where kids are going to have to go in and try and compete, and I believe it's like very like, not necessarily Hunger Games in like the style of it, but in the fact that like people can die during it. Like, I think it is very dangerous and like fraught, and I am very curious about it. I believe our main character is also somebody who did not think he was going to get picked for this like game challenge thing at all, and then has been picked. Like, I want to know about this. It sounds so intriguing. I've also heard very, very good things about it, and so yes. The next one I want is The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreffer. This is a book that has been on my radar for a while. I've had friends who have really enjoyed it, but it hasn't been like top of my list until recently when an author I was talking to, we were talking about a post I had like on Instagram, and I think the book was about Ocean's Echo. I had Ocean's Echo up and they were like, have you read that one yet? I hadn't, but I absolutely loved Winter's Orbit. Like, I was like, Winter's Orbit, and spoiler I guess so far, is my favorite book of 2022 so far. Like, it is my absolute favorite. And they got so excited to let me know that this book has the same sort of vibes, and they've actually recommended Winter's Orbit to a friend before because they liked this one, and so it is pretty comparable, I guess, in the sort of sci-fi tone, male-male romance, that kind of stuff. And I don't know, something about the way that they were telling me about this has definitely pushed this book higher up on my list. Like, I absolutely need this now. Like, I need it. Sci-fi, I'm a sucker for sci-fi, sucker for romance. I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet, but like, they sold it to me. And then finally, I almost always have at least one Christmassy book on this list, obviously. And I have a couple different Christmassy books that I've picked up already this year, but one I have not yet, and I really do want to read, is You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince by Timothy Janowski. I don't know too much about this one. It wasn't one of my most anticipated releases videos. Yeah, Matthew Prince is young, rich, and thoroughly spoiled. So what if his parents barely remember he exists and the press is totally obsessed with him? He's on the top of the world. But one major PR misstep later, and Matthew is cut off and shipped away to spend the holidays in his grandparents' charming small-town hellscape. And then it's bad enough he's stuck in some festive winter wonderland. It's even worse that he has to share space with Hector Martinez, an obnoxiously attractive local who's unimpressed with anything and everything Matthew does. Just when it looks like the holiday season is bringing nothing but heated squabbles, the charity gala loses its coordinator and Matthew steps in as a saintly act to get home early on good behavior, with Hector as his maddeningly, that was hard, plus the one. So yeah, it's gonna be very much, I feel like traditional Hallmark Christmas movie type of stuff with a male-male romance. Like, I am sold. I am 100% sold. I love the cover. I love the title. Like, I need this Christmas book in my life. Like, 100%. So yeah, that is my top 10 books that I want for Christmas. Again, like I said, who knows if it's actually gonna happen. It's possibly something that I'm gonna have to buy myself later on, although my hauls are already huge. But yes, those are the books that I would like for Christmas. What books are on the top of your list? Mostly because I'm curious. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I'm currently doing the 12 days of Bookmas, so I will have another video up tomorrow, and I will see you then. Bye.